So let's take a look at retail sales and services, because advertising and promotion, we put those into place because we want people to make a sale or to make a purchase. So if we look at the beginning, most customers or most consumers arrive at a garden center without a plan. Research has shown that whenever consumers or customers come to a garden center, they don't really know what they want, and they're afraid they'll make a bad decision about plant materials. So the more information you can provide to those customers via signs or handouts or demonstrations or setups or your personal assistance, the more that you can increase their purchasing confidence, and they'll have a better success at home, which will probably result in them wanting to return to your greenhouse or your garden center because they know that they can get the help and support that they need. And that's, if you look at the second point here, the more information you can provide, the more pleasurable the experience. The third thing is you want to keep your greenhouse clean and attractive. You might want to provide places for people to sit. Maybe outside you have a demonstration area with a little pond and a swing, or maybe even inside the greenhouse. I went in a greenhouse one time where they had built flower walls with PVC pipes, and if you went into these little rooms that had flower walls, there was grass on the floor, and they had a picnic table with chairs that you could sit there and look at the plants or talk or whatever, and that might be a little excessive, but you want to keep things clean and attractive and have places for people to enjoy. You want to have a nice clean public restroom. You want to have wide walkways that will allow for wheelchairs or people to pass. You want to make sure that you have parking that is sufficient, enough parking space. You want it to be free of clutter. You want to have products on display. You just really want to make the gardening experience a good experience. You also want to provide educational materials, but you want those educational materials to be clear and concise. You might consider putting like a display garden up so that people can see, or have garden recipes that give people examples of plants that grow together well. And you can also use QR codes as we move forward with smartphones. These are called quick response codes, or short for QR codes, and they're the little square barcodes that people can use. And surveys have been conducted that found that almost 50% of buyers have accessed customer reviews online with a mobile device while in the store before they made a purchase. So having those QR codes available and having information about those plants available via QR code is really a good idea. Of course, you may be interested in doing wholesale sales and services as opposed to retail, or maybe you're going to do both. But if you're going to be in wholesale sales, there are a few things you need to keep in mind. You need to be in touch with the consumer demands. Just because you won't be selling to the public doesn't mean that you don't need to provide what the public is interested in. So be sure that you still continue to do those marketing researches and to find out what the consumer is after. You want to educate the retailer. Tell them what it is that you have. Tell them what is so good about your product. Give them any information that you can to help them sell the product, because you need to remember, as the fourth point here says, more retail sales mean more wholesale sales. The third point is training. A lot of wholesale sellers will offer training to their retailers, and that training could be on anything that is relevant at that time, but it's just kind of a nice way to get the retail sellers into your business and get them to sign with you. I know that I worked at a greenhouse once, and we were a retail seller, and the wholesaler actually came to our place, and they brought food, and they invited all the greenhouse growers in the area to come to our place, and then they tried to sign on these other people as retail sellers for the product. If you are a wholesaler, you may want to have a product display or help the retailer set up their product display. You might want to provide the tables for that. And then finally, you'll probably need to provide some kind of financial services for retailers, because retailers probably are not going to have the money to pay you for this massive quantity of plants that they're going to buy up front. So you'll probably have to have some kind of credit line available. Then we look at pricing, and there's another chapter that deals with cost, but I just want to touch on this very briefly. Keep in mind that prices are determined by the market conditions and competition, but also need to reflect your cost. So, for example, if you had a 1% increase in the selling price of a flat of bedding plants, that will increase your profit by 16%. But if you had a 10% increase in the selling price of the flat, that would increase your profit by 160%. So you need to keep that in mind whenever you are determining your cost or your price to the public. And then you'll see in the box at the below, gross margin pricing is based on the selling price. It uses the business's income statement to add a percentage margin that allows the operator to reach his profit objectives. So whatever you wanted to reach, if you wanted to reach a 5% profit or 10% profit. This method accounts for fixed cost and the desired profit margin. Markup pricing is an add-on to the cost of the product to determine the selling price. And then you see here markup pricing, and I just stated it's an add-on to the cost of the product. If the product has a unique value, there's not a close substitution, or it's difficult to compare to another competitor's product, you can usually charge a higher price. But you may need the input of an accountant to establish this part of your business plan as far as what will be your profit markup. So as we wrap up this week, remember that you have a handout due and you have an assignment due. For the assignment, you're going to create a marketing plan for your greenhouse business. There's an outline in eLearn for you to look at. If you notice under the first area, situational analysis, there's a sub area called consumer and market analysis. That information should come from last week's assignment. So those 20 people that you surveyed, you want to take the information, the charts that you made or the graphs or whatever you chose, however you chose to demonstrate that. You want to include those as part of your situational analysis. And then you'll take that information and a little more research and develop a marketing plan for your greenhouse.